Kazakhstan is a state which separates Asia and Europe. Being part of two continents, Kazakhland historically became the venue for the interaction of various civilizations: Islamic, Christian, Buddhist and Confucian. The relics of one of the manorial saints of the Russian Orthodox Church, Father Sebastian, are also kept there, and the grave of Rabbi Lubovichesky is a sacred place for all Jewish people. Kazakhstan's land was the final shelter of the Islamic philosopher Haji Ahmed Yasawi, highly honoured by the Turkic nations, and the ruins of ancient Buddhist temples were also found there. There is also an opinion that the legendary Zarathustra started his earthly life in the Altai foothills in Kazakhstan. Today, the Republic is an independent state, and its population includes people of 130 nationalities and over 40 religious confessions. Their peaceful coexistence is a non-negotiable priority within the state policy, and tolerance in society is a common standard of behaviour. Peace and accord have become the basis for successful economic and later political reforms in the country. Interconfessional dialogue is one of the key ways towards public development and improvements in the prosperity of all nationalities. Nursultan Nazarbayev. A law on religious freedom was one of the first laws adopted in Kazakhstan after acquiring its sovereignty. This was probably the first manifestation of the long-term accord policy of the head of state, Nursultan Nazarbayev. Many links would subsequently appear in this chain later on, and Kazakhstan would join over 40 international agreements in the field of human rights, the formation of the Assembly of the Peoples of Kazakhstan, the construction of the Palace of Peace and Accord, the initiation of the Congress of World and Traditional Religions, and joining the Civilizations Alliance Group. Finally, this concept was brought to the most effective and purely political level when Nursultan Nazarbayev gave publicity to the idea of having meetings between the Ministers of Foreign Affairs of Muslim and Western countries. The initiative on convening a conference entitled A Common World Congress Through Diversity immediately acquired wide international support.
Многообразие не есть недостаток, наоборот, это неоценимый дар Божий, благодаря которому происходит настоящее взаимообогащение, подлинное.
Diversity is not a disadvantage. On the contrary, it is a priceless blessing from God, due to which real mutual enrichment and real development can occur. Each nation possesses unique traditions, history and ways of thinking, peculiar only for that nation. Each one brings its own melody to the symphony of human spiritual culture. I would like to draw your attention to such problems as the increase in pseudo-religious associations in both their number and in their influence. They exist in almost every country, and they mainly feed like parasites on the difficulties which exist in the modern world. Under the mask of fashion, many of them propagate by no means good intentions, which may result in the undermining not only of religion and a civil society, but also of the state. We should resist such organizations, suppress their activities, and guard our citizens from such negative influences. 2008, October, Kazakhstan and Astana are important reference points in the system of global negotiation and represent the next step of the politicians in moving towards common progress. Those who responded to the Kazakh leaders' invitation and expressed their willingness to start multilateral dialogue represents dozens of countries from different continents with a variety of traditions, creeds and lifestyles.
Сейчас в мире происходит такой большой мировоззренческий сдвиг, состоящий в том, что
huge progress in world attitude is now taking place. The essence of this is that the cultural, civilization and religious variety of the world is not a matter to be overcome or unified. It is a matter which all of us should learn to live with. We should recognize the borders, limits and levels of different religions, different political and different civilization platforms. However, it involves a wide range of issues. The issues of the integration of Islamic communities in European states, the issues of interaction of Islamic and Western world, and the role of the media in the coverage of these issues. The issues of youth education in various cultural civilization niches and platforms. This wide range of issues will be discussed at the conference.
Вот этот весь широкий круг вопросов и будет обсуждаться на этой конференции.
The discussion format at such a high political level amongst people who hold key responsibilities for affecting the situation is the most efficient forum available. Soon, constructive results can be expected from such meetings, according to George Sampaio, the representative of the UN Secretary-General in the Alliance of Civilizations.
O mês de outubro é mês muito carregado, onde eu tenho que estar em vários
When
sítios, eu não
high-ranking
posso
people
estar em vários
discuss
sítios
these issues, they are
fisicamente
giving
ao
a
mesmo
signal
tempo.
to society,
Vou ver o que é que
and
eu
they
posso
stimulate
fazer.
society
Se não
into
estiver
discussing
fisicamente,
these
estou
issues as
presente
well.
na videoconferência, porque, obviamente,
Learning to
o-
live with people
na
who may think
sequência do
differently.
acompanhamento dos
We should
trabalhos
remember
preparatórios
that
que
the
a
truth
Aliança
is
com
not
os
always on
representantes
our
próprios tem
side, because
feito,
this is what leads to
temos dado grande
fanaticism.
importância ao encontro
We
das
should be
opiniões.
ready to listen, to
Ponto
hear and to
fundamental.
understand others.
Eu só não
This
estarei,
principle
se
should
de
be
todo
applied
for
throughout the
possível,
world.
mas pelo menos estarei virtualmente
Nobody should
através
stand above
da
others,
videoconferência. E
because
desejo as melhores
variety is the
felicidades,
world in its
quer aos
entirety,
participantes do
and
encontro,
preserving
quer ao
this should be
ambiente,
our common
aos
goal.
princípios, às deliberações do encontro, são importantes para o mundo, são importantes com certeza para a Aliança das Civilizações.
Being merciful, being patient, and loving your neighbour. There isn't a single creed which may assert its monopoly on these values. They are deeply rooted in the human spirit. Kofi Annan.
وهذا المؤتمر يأتي الآن في وقت حرج.
I would like to note that it is the right time to organise such a forum because Muslims are now experiencing a very difficult period relating to permanent challenges towards Muslims and Islam, as well as ungrounded accusations and other hostile acts in the name of Islam.
تحرم المسلمين من بعض حقوقهم الأساسية.
History has too many conflicts and too many tragedies which took place in the name of religion. Achieving a better understanding of various creeds, we will be able to avoid the distrust used by some people as the basis for inflaming hatred and violence. Margaret Thatcher. Human beings and the values of civilizations which allow humans to rise above all circumstances are under threat, for we have lost the vision of our wise men and are preoccupied with momentary grievances. Indira Gandhi. There have always been people who have used religion as the instrument for unleashing conflict between nations, and the modern world is not immune from this evil. All the more so, since the modern world offers such a powerful weapon as the media to be used as a vehicle for evilmongers. The most sensational scandal which the media can be blamed for was the publication of caricatures of the Prophet Muhammad, which aroused a wave of discontent around the world. The confrontation between some Muslim and Western countries which existed at that moment became more acute, and opposition was expressed in both political and economic spheres. We can't move away from the present time in order to build interreligious dialogue, whilst earlier the talk was on the interaction of religions in history, sometimes fruitful and sometimes bloody. Now the discussion is about global dialogue between religion and the secular worlds. Nursultan Nazarbayev. However, the situation with the caricatures and other similar situations have showed that in the West and in the East there are people for whom a different culture, history and religion were indisputable values. The chief editors of many of the publications who published the pictures in pursuit of higher circulations were fired, and in some European countries the publications themselves were closed down. One of the largest British banks consciously closed the accounts of the British National Party, the leaders of which launched a harsh attack upon Islam within the press. There are many such factors both in Western countries and in the Muslim world. What is often referred to as conflict and contradiction between religions in many cases is conflict between states, between economic groups, and conflict between specific politicians. Nursultan Nazarbayev. All nations and all people want the world to be free of war, conflict, hatred and discrimination, and aspire to a joint solution of the problems of mankind to establish peace and security. Fahd bin Abdul Aziz. Each of us has his own philosophy, customs and lifestyle. However, here in Tehran, we have proved that our nation's ideals, though different from each other, may be united in a harmonic single whole in the course of our movement towards prosperity of the whole world, carrying us towards common welfare. Franklin D. Roosevelt. It is a simple truth that the world has been becoming more independent. However, understanding this is still very fragile, and reactions to any nuances and variations are strong. Every effort to change this is worthwhile, and the Common World Conference is aimed at becoming an effective mechanism for reaching détente between the two largest self-sufficient civilizations, the Muslim world and the West. This mechanism has already been launched.
Эта идея этой конференции, она лежит в русле инициативы нашего президента, которая была
This conference is part of our President's initiative, announced in 2007 at a session of the UN General Assembly, to proclaim the year 2010 as the year of cultural rapprochement. Culture is a very wide concept, which of course includes religious and political culture. That's why such issues, the issues of political dialogue, which are the main idea of the conference, are aimed at contributing towards making 2010 the year of rapprochement on a global level.
لذلك مؤتمر على هذا المستوى العالي الوزاري.
I would like to say that this forum allows representatives of the Muslim world and representatives of the West to understanding each other better and raise the level of mutual
حول
understanding.
هذا الموضوع الحيوي.
We should discuss these things, and then the ideas will be supported by practical suggestions. This is a good intention, and we should develop directions and ways to solve these issues. We should certainly not avoid discussion. Only after discussions can we achieve results. The Common World Progress Through Diversity Conference is close to the Global Civilizations Alliance in its ideological direction. The initiative of the meeting of the Ministers of Foreign Affairs of Western countries and the Muslim world add harmonically to Kazakhstan's other initiative, convening the Congress of World and Traditional Religions. Their successful accomplishment once again assigns the Republic the status of being a connecting influence in the global dialogue of civilizations, cultures and religions.